Hi everybody, it's Liz from Ostara, and today I am doing a video on decks for spring, and I'm thinking in particular decks for early spring, so that time period from Ostara to Beltane. And I just picked out a few decks, half tarot, half oracle. And I just thought these had kind of a springy feeling to them. I did a video a couple of weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, the beginning of February, and I was speaking about how I associate different colors with different months. And so for March, I think about yellow, purple, spring green, and white, those colors, because that's what I see in the world around me. So I start to see a little bit of greening happening, but it's a very pale, that beautiful, heartening spring green. And then this forsythia starts to bloom, which is a bright yellow. And we see crocuses, which are sort of golden and yellow and purple and white. And then as we get into April, we'll start to see the azaleas coming up. And so for April, I think about pink and purple and green. So one color almost carries over from one month to another sometimes, and decks do the same. Anyway, I thought I would start off. I've got 4 tarot and 4 oracle. So I'm going to start off here with this one. I'm sorry about the lighting. It's not the greatest, but this is the time I have to do the video, so this is what I'm doing. So Sun and Moon Tarot is by Vanessa DeCourt. I love this little Thoth-based tarot. It's very sweet, and I do think of it as a springish deck. I mean, woohoo, that's kind of how we feel at the end of winter. I really enjoy this deck. As I said, I think it's very sweet. I love the people and animals that are portrayed in this deck. And I like this one because it makes me think of where I live with the lighthouses. And that brings me to another point about where I live. So I live on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which is a little, you can actually see that's a map of the Cape. So that's the shape. And the white on this is all ocean. And when I first moved here in 1980, I moved in the fall. So I went through fall, winter, and then spring happened. And I said, hey, what happened to spring? Like, where is spring here on Cape Cod? Because we're surrounded by that cold Atlantic water, spring comes later because whenever there's a breeze coming off the water's still cold from the winter. And so it just makes everything a little colder than normal. So like 30 miles down the road from me, inland, it could be on an April day, 75 degrees, and it'll be 55 here on the Cape. And the trees start to bud out later. Things just happen later. Spring's just later, and it's kind of truncated. You know, sometimes we just have rain, gloom, cold. You know, we do have some things blooming and so forth, but the weather's often rainy and cold and damp, and then all of a sudden it's 85 and 90 and it's summer. So it's kind of like we go from winter to this like cold, gloomy, rainy thing, and then summer. Some years we do get a spring, but a lot of years we don't. All right, next up is an oracle, and this is called Soul Trees, and this is the Ascension deck by Allison Allison Williams Yee. She has a number of decks out, and I really love her decks. And this really reminds me of spring because of the trees, and I like that a lot of these trees are the like that to me is just so, those colors are so evocative of April to me, and that's kind of how the trees are. They're just starting to pop out. And here we'll see, this just reminds me of crabapple trees that bloom in April. And so the trees aren't fully in bloom here. They're still a little bare, but we'll start to see some, pink on like the crab apples and the apple trees. And again, this I think is perfect because especially in the end of March to early April, we really the trees, the deciduous trees aren't really in bloom yet. The leaves are just still green and little buds oftentimes, and then we'll start to see like the magnolia will start to bloom. And so we see the flowering trees this time of year in April, but the actual deciduous trees like oaks and maples and those types of trees are a bit later. So this to me is a very it's a deck that evokes this time of year where I live anyway. Like I said, it's still, these trees you can see in the background are actually evergreen. So that's why you see green out my window. So yeah, beautiful deck, great for spring. And it's got these beautiful edges and backings. I really love Allison's work. So next up is that was an indie deck, and Sun and Moon is mass market. This is another mass market. This is Tarot de Maria Celia, and this is by Leonard Jim Narciso. And wow, the colors. So I'm going solely by colors in this deck. And this really, to me, is so, it's, as you can see, a Marseille deck. Oh, but I love the color palette. And it's so springy. Look at that beautiful spring green and the pinks and the purples and yellows. It's just so springy to me. It's a beautiful deck. I really like it. It's one of my more favorite Marseilles because, as I've mentioned multiple times, I do not like that primary color palette in the traditional Marseille. And I do love, look at that. That is so April and May. Oh, gosh. Beautiful deck. And it's a pocket deck in a tin, so easy to carry around. And for my little eeny-weeny hands, it's easy to shuffle. So I quite like this deck, and I am going to move it up into the decks for spring area in my little room here so that I will put this into rotation. So that is Tarot de Maria Celia, and it is, I believe, a U.S. Games. Yes, U.S. Games. I think, are you? Yes, also U.S. Games. All right. So another indie oracle. This is called Old Ways Magic Oracle, and it is by Naomi Cornock, who is in the UK. And, you know, I live in New England, and New England is called New England because it was colonized by folks from England, and a lot of the towns that got settled are named after towns in the UK. And when I've gone to UK, I see a lot of the towns that are around me. In terms of the colonized names. And so the land, the geography, the place, there are a lot of similarities between the UK and where I live too. So here are, this is, I think, so rebirth, cleanse. So it's the wording or the keywords on this deck, but I also think the color palette, wisdom, leap of faith. So we see the salmon, community, and I feel like oftentimes in winter we're starting to, at the end of winter into spring, we're starting to come out of our hibernation and, you know, getting back in touch with our community. Hope, you know, I find spring to be a very hopeful time of year. Connect with these bunnies. So, you know, connecting with people that maybe, you know, we've been hermiting away in our homes. Growth. Here we have the green man. So this deck I feel has some really lovely, has a very lovely springy feel to it. There are a few other cards that are evocative of other seasons, but I feel primarily a springish feel to this deck. And this deck will carry over for me into late spring as well. And I'm glad to bring this back out because I have not been using it much at all the past couple of months. And I really adore this deck. So we'll start with this beautiful, it's called Elemental, but we can see the ocean, which is very important to me because I live very close to the ocean. All right, next up is Tarot Fauna. It's a sweet little independent deck conceived by Devin Strickler, and the artist is Brittany Burkhardt. And I really like this deck. It's really sweet. So we can see, so the suits, the cups have otters, the pentacles have bears, the swords or air have owls, and the wands have fox. And then you can see these are some of the majors. But I feel like this also, oh my gosh, look at that. Is that adorable? I feel like this has that's a real springy green. We have river otters where I live, and that I love seeing them. We do not have moose where I live, but I love them still. Or, I don't know, is this a cougar? A mountain lion. I don't have mountain lions. I don't have mountains. Really flat here on Cape Cod. Got a few sand dunes. Oh, I just love this. I think the animals are beautiful in this deck. I love how, look at these cups. These otters are so sweet. And what a great, that's so springy. That fool with the new fawn. So this is a lovely deck for spring. Here you go, oh, getting a little honey. They're so adorable. It's just lovely. Yeah. So there's the wands. It's just beautiful. So yeah, so that is a deck that makes me think of spring, and I like to bring it out this time of year. So that one, and then the next one, I feel like has a little bit of a similar feeling to the Tarot Fauna. And this is called the Folktales Oracle. It's by Hannah Willow, another UK artist. And oh, I just love Hannah's artwork. You can buy, she creates jewelry. She has 2 or 3 oracle decks. She makes greeting cards of some of these images. So I pulled this one out because it's beginnings. So this is an oracle. And it just, again, I just get this real, she has a lot of hares, rabbits in her decks. I love it. It just makes me, these are animals that I see around me. I have owls. I can hear the owls hooting at night, and the rabbits I'm really starting to see popping back up again. I haven't seen them. They kind of been hiding away in their burrows for the winter, but look at that. So sweet. And we have seals where I live. Familiar. I don't have any cats. I just have a dog, but I have cat nieces. Beautiful. So this is a very sweet deck, the imagery. And like I said, if you like any of these images, again, the lovely little birds. This one I pulled a couple nights ago, Hope. And what can be more hopeful to people who live in seasons with winters than the sign of the snowdrops? Because that's the first sign that I see that we see some green and growth and flowering. So this is the Folktales Oracle, again, by Hannah Willow. And if you like any of these images, go to Hannah's website, because she sells a lot of these images as greeting cards. Alrighty, so tarot is this one. This is Witch's Wisdom by Phyllis Carrot and Danielle Barlow. It's a Hay House deck. And can I just say, Hay House, could you please, 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 please change your cardstock? It is shite. It's such a bummer because I adore this deck. I can't, for the life of me, shuffle it. I mean, it's literally a piece of cardboard. And these are oversized cards. And I have small hands. And I mean, even people with big hands, it's so, why do you use cardboard? I don't understand. Okay, is it because it's just so much cheaper to produce the deck? Okay, charge $5 more and use better cardstock. Or, you know, stop having 50% off deck sales 8 times a year and have better cardstock. I love this deck. I'm whining. I love this deck, and I just don't use it that much because the cardstock is just disgusting. Anyway, here we go. So this is a deck that reordered the majors. So this is Rebirth, which is in this deck card number 9, but in fact is the death card 13 in other regular tarot decks. But if you look at those trees, dogwood, and I can see in April and May soon the dogwood will be coming out here. Strength card, all our animal friends. No. Oh dear. This I think is lovely, this Ace of Pentacles. And I think about spring as a time for healing. And here we have more rabbits. I have whales nearby. More fox. I have fox around me. Beautiful dragonflies. The pilgrim is the fool in this deck and is seen in not all but many of the majors. I just had to put this one in because it's one of my all-time favorite Empress cards ever. It's called the Great Mother, and you can see she is breastfeeding, and it's like she's feeding the world. I love that this card is called Love, not Lovers. So again, you could see the color palette is full of those spring type colors. And this one, I think it's 3 of Fire, but I feel this is such a springy such a springy color palette. I just love it. So that is Witch's Wisdom, and that is the last tarot. And then the final deck I wanted to talk about is a deck for wonder walking. This is an indie deck. The production quality of this is just magnificent. It's by Amy Wan, and oh God, it is just stunning. I have to say I have not really used this deck, and I want to use it for actual wonder walking. But, whoops. Oh, that one went flying. Hope I can do better with the rest of this deck. But again, so these are watercolors by the creator. I mean, stunning. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. And so evocative to me of spring. These colors and the settings. So this is a deck that you take out when you go walking in nature. And there's a journal that you can use. I mean, it's lovely. I do have coyotes in my backyard. I hear them very often. And as soon as I said coyote, Luna started barking. Luna, come. Lulu. Luna! Luna! Good girl. Hello. So anyway, this is a beautiful deck that I think is evocative of spring for me. I love this artwork, and I have the journal, and I really need to get out there and get working with it, get walking with it. So anyway, these are the decks that I'm thinking about this time of year here where I live on Cape Cod. I think they just really speak to how the earth, the geography around me looks, and how I feel, and the color palette that I associate with March, April, May. So what are your thoughts? What do you think about these decks? What decks do you associate for spring? What is spring like where you live? If you don't live surrounded by water, you might actually have a spring. Anyway, peace and love, my friends.